So one, the SOFA agreement would have been signed by the previous administration in the 27th of December 2024. Two, it is a national security document which I would not be able to get involved in or share the contents of that information with
But
you.
the SOFA agreement still exists, yes?
Absolutely. Yes.
Right, so we can't get any kind of specifics as to what is the...
It is a document tethered to national security.
This current impasse with Trinidad and CARICOM over the zone of peace. There's also issues concerning the Prime Minister of Barbados. There's the relation. Sorry, not Barbados. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Ralph Gonzalez. Sorry about that. And there's also this entire overarching of the GRUA countries. We know that we're trying to get into the UN Security Council.
Members,
yes, right. So non-permanent members. Are these sort of impasses concerning you as far as getting the endorsement that you need to get a seat at the table at the UN General Council?
No. I'll tell you. When any comes to a member, non-permanent 5 members of the United Nations Security Council, it's essentially a campaign that you're building to get there. We believe that based upon the reciprocal support we've gotten thus far, we are safe in terms of our ascension as a member of the UN Security Council, as a non-permanent member. In terms of an impasse with respect to the zone of peace, I mean, I think our Prime Minister, myself, Parliamentary Secretary Morris, we've made it abundantly clear. The concept of the zone of peace, and we've discussed this in so many different forums, by now I thought it might have been pellucid. The concept of the zone of peace is a concept that was created or connected to a CELAC resolution. And it is not to say then that Trinidad and Tobago does not wish for Trinidad and Tobago to exist in a zone of peace. The position is that we have not been existing in a zone of peace. Other countries may be fortunate to say that about themselves. We can't.
Is anyone considering going back to non-lethal interdiction? Because, well, it would make sense where if you have the military force and you have the military ability to strike these boats from a distance, you can intercept them, you can stop the flow of drugs, and people don't like to die. People won't die, you know? So, and, you know, no pun intended, everybody wins in that situation. So why isn't the government or any government or even the opposition or anyone else speaking about non-lethal interdiction? And secondly, has the AG been able to speak to the Ministry of Foreign and CARICOM Affairs and give a legal opinion on whether or not these kinetic strikes are consistent with international law? Because there has been some conversation globally about that, and it seems to be leaning to these things being considered extrajudicial killings.
Right. To answer your point or your question, the second one first, which will also work well within answering the first one. You are correct. These strikes are occurring in international waters. There are some advocates, international lawyers, that would say this could constitute an extrajudicial killing. They've advanced their reasons why they believe so. And then there are many other international experts and lawyers who've come out to say, no, well, the US has declared that this is a military operation. Their Congress, their Constitution allows them to take certain kinetic actions against persons they believe to be aggressors as defined by their constitutions, no matter where these persons may reside. In this case, these kinetic actions are taking place within international waters, yes, albeit within the Southern Caribbean, but they are not taking place in our sovereign maritime waters or our EZ, nor are they taking place respectfully in Venezuelan maritime waters or Venezuelan EZ or Barbados or anywhere else. It's in international waters. And I made the point the other day, which drew some condemnation from some persons when I said that some persons were being hypocritical because I don't see them asking the very same questions when kinetic activities take place in parts of the Middle East, or kinetic activities of a similar nature are taking place within the Pacific region. I respectfully don't see persons from the media or other persons raising those issues. And it's not to say that I'm trying to pour scorn upon the issue. Yes, lives are being lost. But I am certain that, one, the intelligence that the U.S. is acting on, because its military intelligence is very sound. And two, I don't think anybody would lightly adopt this course of action without having thought it out. And I say that to say, I see your visible expression, but I'll say that to say that essentially you are weighing the balance of many lives that are being destroyed by criminal activity, transnational criminal activity, which is not only poisonous drugs reaching mainland U.S., but it is the flow of, and I think Sean Douglas from the Newsday at a point in time pointed out the Iron River, where guns would flow into Trinidad and Tobago from varying points. How could we come as a country after purchasing several go-fast boats and larger vessels to patrol us in 2015 and end up with 2 or 3 working vessels to patrol the entire of Trinidad and Tobago's maritime border and be satisfied with that? And not understand that there's a direct correlation between the lack of our ability to patrol our borders and the inflow of drugs, guns, and bodies, human bodies being trafficked into this country because we just didn't have the capacity to deal with it.
So would you, confirm or deny or dismiss any sort of claims that this is being used as a front for intelligence gathering?
No, that is absolutely false. Sorry. To answer you in short here.
Well, the fact that our local, defense force personnel, soldiers, sailors, airmen, will be involved in this training, is that an example, or would you say that that is an example that, any further action or any further exercises would involve local military personnel if it reaches that point?
No, but they are going to be involved in this particular exercise.
Not on a training capacity, and in a more military role if it reaches to that point, just as the U.S. have been confronting, purported narco-traffickers. Is it safe to say, therefore, that because of the training exercise, that
no,
these
there's
local
absolutely no information to suggest that.
Website. So, citizens, I believe, would have a right to know if Trinidad and Tobago can, in fact, if their country that they live in can, in fact, be used as a launching pad for U.S. military. So again, I'll put the question to you. Does the SOFA agreement entail anything in there that allows this country to be used as a launching pad by U.S. military, either with or without the permission of the government of Trinidad?
So, Alicia, I'd start from where I left off, essentially. One, it is in fact a national security document, and I can't get into that. I do appreciate the juxtaposition with respect to some SOFA agreements being placed upon the U.S. State Department. You would well appreciate that their laws are not ours, and so we have laws that govern how security documentation or any information tethered to national security is supposed to be dealt with, and so we are abiding by that here. I can't speak for the U.S.'s position with respect to those things, but I would again reiterate then that it is a national security document.
Okay, Minister, without going into the details of the SOFA agreement, can Trinidad and Tobago be used as a launching pad by any other military other than Trinidad and Tobago's military to launch an attack on any other sovereign country with or without the permission of the government of Trinidad and Tobago?
No, in short, the answer to that is no.
Okay, thank you so much, Minister. Second question. Now, you mentioned the drugs, you would have also mentioned guns. And there has been an argument for a very long time that most of the guns coming into Trinidad and Tobago actually comes in from the United States of America, which is now in international and Caribbean waters launching a war in what it calls drug cartels. So what is the discussion like at this point with the United States military, which is in the Caribbean region, launching a war on drugs, if in fact this narrative that this is for regime change in Venezuela, and this leads to a war in our Caribbean region of that nature, not what you are referring to, which I'm sure all of the citizens are happy that, you know, crime and all of these things are down, right? Right, so I'm asking if that stems into a war of that nature, is that something, Minister, that you are willing to support?
One, my dear, that question does not arise, it's conjecture. And two, the U.S. Apparatus, military apparatus, belongs to the United States government. If they feel to move it from the Southern Caribbean to the Pacific, they'll do that. If they feel to move it from the Pacific to the Antarctic, they will do that. If they feel to move it from the Antarctic to the South Pole, they will do that. We have absolutely no control where they decide to move these ships or submarines, as you say, to wherever they want to move them. They are saying, and they've said to the world, that the position is we are attacking narco traffickers and transnational crime. They believe that moving around these ships may very well help them to do that. Well, then so be it. Essentially, then your question should be posed to them and not to Trinidad and Tobago, because the ships don't belong to us. We don't direct the ships where they need to go. We're not in control of their marine unit or logistics as it pertains to where these ships have to move and go and whatnot. So, I mean, you know, I think that is a question that is kind of, it is in fact conjecture.
But if it does spawn into that, would...
Which is conjecture again.
Right, I'm just saying. But I mean that everybody has their limits and everybody has their foundation and everybody has their morals. I'm saying that if it does get into that, is there something that you would stand against?
All
is
I'm saying is that if you, which I've done this morning, if you ask me something factually, I will answer. But if you ask me something based upon conjecture, what would you do if this happens? I mean, I've never done it as a lawyer, and I am not going to do it as a minister. If it happens, trust that your government will stand with you, and we will make the best possible decision in the interest of the people of Trinidad and Tobago.